before you end this video, I just want to explain myself. Yes, it's true. I am an Uncle Tom. I'll admit it. I didn't know I was an Uncle Tom until a couple years ago. I just found that out. Please let me explain. So, I was born in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Grew up being a typical kid. On Saturdays I would watch Kung Fu Joe, look at Godzilla versus King Kong and Rodan and, the six-headed monster Ghidorah. I used to look at Kung Fu flicks. My moms would play, Saturday mornings and would play like Stevie Wonder, Bob Marley, Stephanie Mills as we were cleaning the house. Late at night I used to sneak and look at Benny Hill because he would have little white girls running around with their breasts hanging out. I was a typical kid, you understand? Make the long story short, we migrated here to North Carolina. I lived in Durham, North Carolina. My grandfather passed away and my grandmother had this big house, so she welcomed us in. My stepfather at the time, he was weed head. He was messing up. He worked for MTA. He got fired from his job. So my mom's was like, yo, I ain't having that. We was living off Flatbush Avenue and, we had not rats, but mice and roaches. And we just got up out of there. Got down south, you know what I'm saying, and things were different. I didn't even know that they didn't have trains and, stuff like that in the South. I was a typical kid, you know what I'm saying, went to middle school and went to high school, and then I started to find out certain things because I took my a Black history class, right? It was an elective. It wasn't like you needed to take it, but some odd reason, something in my head told me to take the class, and I took the class, and I wound up finding out about, like different authors, Black authors, and the things that Black people did, the inventors, the innovators of our community, of our race, started finding out about the Harlem Renaissance and Langston Hughes and with Zora Neale Hurston. I read a book called Their Eyes Were Watching God. So I was embracing my Blackness, but I didn't really take it serious. You understand? So, fast forward, I graduated from school. A lot of things, I actually dropped out in 12th grade and then went to adult high school. I got my adult high school diploma in a community college called Durham Tech. Within that time frame, I went through a lot of stuff. I ran away from home, a lot of stuff happened. I was homeless. I stayed with this drug dealer. I stayed with my grandmother, I stayed with my aunt, I stayed with my uncle. I stayed with everybody. I would just sleep on anyone's couch that allowed me to. I remember one time I slept in Duke campus, like right under a tree. I slept on a school bus at one time. I slept behind a bank one time. So I was just trying to find myself, you know what I'm saying? Didn't have no father figure there, in my mother's household. And that's what kind of pushed me. That's what motivated me to run away, to leave, to get away, because it was too much feminine energy in there. Yeah, my mom, she got married again, and, I say it was a lot of feminine energy because he was a pussy. Dude would eat cereal and didn't know how to cook and clean. My mother took care of him. In other words, my mother was his mother. So I had to leave. So within that time frame, I had moved back to New York. After I graduated and all that stuff, got my adult high school diploma and whatever have you, I moved to New York, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to New York, and I'm gonna live with my father, and everything's gonna be good. So I gotta, and I'm making this relevant. Just hear me out. Hear my story. I'm trying to tell you how I became an Uncle Tom. So I'm in New York, you know what I'm saying, and now there's the New York vibe, and I'm older, you know what I'm saying. So my father gave me two options. He said either you can go to school or you can get a job. I chose to get a job because I really wasn't too much into school like that. You know what I'm saying? I was smart, but I just didn't like, at that point in time, I just didn't want to read anymore. You understand? So I'm a typical kid, I'm getting into, marijuana and drinking, and I'm just trying to find myself through all of these vices, whether it's through promiscuity or whether it's through alcohol and, drugs, or whether it's, through stealing. I used to be a booster. Run up in the mall, had this big baggy pullover, hoodie, and some baggy pants. And I used to wear some pants under it so I could just stuff all of the clothes in there, and I walk out with, because back in the 90s we wore really big clothes, so nobody really paid attention to me. When I would walk out of the store and my pants were real baggy, I would take the shirts and tie them around my leg. Or I had this whole scheme where I would steal ties, right? I would steal ties from like Dillard's or Macy's, and I go back to the same store I stole it from and say, hey, listen, I don't need these ties anymore. I just want to get store credit, and they would give me store credit. Or I had this little joint on the side, like I would sell jerseys to drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? At that time, in the 90s, the hockey jerseys was hot, and of course, the regular NBA jerseys was hot. So I went through a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? I was going back and forth to New York, back and forth to New York, back and forth to New York, to the point where it's like, I got to get my life together, man. And I wound up going to this college called St. Augustine's, right? St. Augustine's College, located in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I bumped into a dude named Sean, and he was like, yo, man, what you into or whatever have you. He was growing like little dreads or whatever, and I was kind of like feeling the dreads. And the reason why I was feeling the dreads because Busta Rhymes had Leaders from New School was out, and everybody was rocking dreads at that time. And there was a lot of conscious dudes that was rocking dreads, and I didn't have knowledge of stuff like that. I didn't know too much about the 5% Nation and the Nation. I knew a little bit about Nation of Islam and Farrakhan, and that's about it. So, he put me on the game. He took me to this bookstore called Black Magnificent Bookstore. I'm pretty sure it's closed right now, just like all of the rest of the black-owned bookstores nationwide. That's another story. Took me to this bookstore. I started reading this book called Lower Beheld Pale Horse, written by William Cooper, the Illuminati 666, the autobiography of Malcolm X, what is Rastafarianism. I started to find out about the 5% Nation, and I just started to become conscious, starting to become aware of things. While I was doing that, I was in college, and I had this social studies class, and we were building on religion, and I had to do this essay on the three monotheistic religions, three of them, one of them being Judaism, the second being Christianity and Islam. And I started finding out that as far as dealing with the Bible, it was originally written in Aramaic, and that there was no J's until 1565, and the Nicene Council wrote the Holy Bible, and Constantine the Great was a pagan. He was a pagan worshiper, and what happened was he saw a cross in the sky, and he decided that he wanted to revert to Christianity. So he changed all of the pagan holidays into Christian holidays, like such as December the 25th, Christmas. So I'm getting all of this type of information and this knowledge, but at the same time, it's like I'm young. So I have the power, I have the knowledge, but no wisdom. That in order to know how to apply the knowledge or the power that I have. That's the problem that young people need to know. You need to link up with the elders, because the elders have the wisdom. That's something that we're missing. And once we get that wisdom, then we'll know how to direct our energy properly, right? So I didn't have that. So I'm going around just kicking it, spitting it at different people and telling people what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And these things that I was talking about, people thought I was crazy in 1994, 1995, 1996. As I was talking to different people, they didn't want to hear it. We get high, whatever, and I start kicking it because I was reading books back to back, right? So I bump into this dude at the student union. He's a new Wahabi, and he started kicking it, right? So he know the information that I know and more. So so he tells me they got a bookstore in Durham, North Carolina. I said, oh, all right, cool. So I wound up going to the Durham bookstore, became a member, later on became a member, officially dropped out of college. Didn't go back because I felt that my calling was to teach the people, to help my black people, you know what I'm saying? And that people were lying about us. You know what I'm saying? They told us that we were slaves and that's all we were. And every time I would read a book, I would find out different things. The opposite of what was being said to me, what was being taught to me in public school. And I knew for a fact, I couldn't prove it when I was in middle school. I couldn't prove it when I was younger. I couldn't prove it when I was in high school. But I knew that we were greater than what they said we were. So I get into the organization, this guy named Dr. Malachi York. He's kicking it. I'm truly believing that this man is from another planet. And the reason why I'm believing it is because he's writing book after book after book after book after book. And he got 360 books. And they're saying that this man knows different languages and he can teleport and do this and that and so forth. And I'm really believing it. But the reality of it is that I didn't come into the information. I didn't become a member because of Dr. Malachi York. I became a member because of the people. So if anybody want to sit back and say, Langston, you were a fool for becoming getting involved in a cult. No, I wasn't a fool. I was trying to save my people. And I thought that organization was trying to do the same thing in return. So I wrote a book because he kept on saying this Dr. Malachi York was like, yo, you're God. So I had to show and prove. So I wrote my first book called The God Within. And that book was like building on, our present, past, and future, and at the end of the book, the solution was join AEO, the Ancient Egyptian Order. Become a member. And I literally said that Dr. Malachi York is the only one that can save us. The second book I wrote, I was easing out because I started to see the flaws. I started to see the imperfections of the organization. So most of it wasn't about him, but it still was stating that was the solution, to join the bookstore. So to make the long story short, I wound up finding out that this guy's nothing but a pedophile. He goes to jail for 135 years. And I say to myself, here I am by myself. All of this information, right? Pretty Ricky's always been there. I've known him for damn near 20 years, right? So he starts sending me information. I started reading different information, and now I'm back at it again. I get an etymology dictionary. I'm reading about transhumanism, technological singularity, Ray Kurzweil and what he's doing, and how he predicts by 2030 that human beings will be hybrids, half human, half robot. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta teach, I gotta reach these people. You know what I'm saying? So I write this book called Love and Apocalyptic Times. And then I tell myself, oh man, I can't. The first two books that I wrote, they would have been hits. The reason why they weren't hits is because I didn't have a marketing and advertising team. So I started to figure it out. I have to market myself. So that's how I got on YouTube, and I started doing skits and doing hair tutorials as far as growing dreads and all the rest of that stuff. And I said to myself, I gotta reach them. I gotta reach them. And fast forward up until now, you know what I'm saying? I've been trying to reach people and let them know what's going to happen in the future, and let them know about their past, and let them know about their present. And for that, I truly believe that I am an Uncle Tom. Now some may say, damn Langston, you let me down. Some may say, damn Langston, you're not no Uncle Tom. I just heard your story, and it sounds like that you're about your people. You're about reaching your people and trying to give them the knowledge and information. And that seems to be the narrative of your life for the last 20 something odd years or more. And you're right. That's what I've been set out to do. But I can honestly tell you that I am an Uncle Tom. Now some people may get it misconstrued. I'm not talking about Uncle Tom's Cabin. That's not who I'm referring to. I'm talking about the real Uncle Tom. And that real Uncle Tom name is Josiah Henson. Look him up. He's an abolitionist. He freed himself and became a free man and moved to Canada and started this community, this black community called the Don Settlement. This man was doing astronomical things and helping his people out. He even fought against America because America was trying to have more territory, Canada's territory, and he fought in I ain't gonna say a war, but it was a battle, so to speak, and won. This is a man that I strive to be. I'm not perfect, and I'm glad that I'm not, because you can learn from the good and from the bad. You can learn from my mistakes. I'm glad that I'm not perfect. And you have to understand that we're not going to have another Malcolm X. We're not going to have another Marcus Garvey. Hell, most of the people that are trying to reach you will never get to that status where their name is a household name. This day and time, any and everybody from all walks of life can educate you on anything. That if you can't see that I have that same spirit, that same motivation that Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and the likes have, I don't know what you're thinking. Period. I may not be as famous as them. Hell, I may not have put out as much information as them, but I strive to reach my people. I just think teaching somebody is belittling. I really do. I just want to transfer that information over to the next man or the next woman. Period. So, yeah, man, I'm a straight up Uncle Tom. You have been tricked. The white man has tricked you, made you believe that Uncle Tom is a derogatory term, and it's not. Look him up. Josiah Henson was a great man, and that's who I strive to be. Not perfect. Maybe you're a little bit more freaky than Josiah. I may drink a little bit more wine than him. But my motive and who I'm obligated to is my people. My name is Langston 2092. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share this video. 1.